I'd like to share with you the organization of the North Carolina ELD Standard Course of Study. We're just going to do a brief overview to develop our understanding of the framework. As you can see in the navy blue at the top, WIDA has begun with the 5 standard statements. These are unchanged and they involve the content areas of social and instructional language, language arts, math, science, and social studies. Then we move down to the key language uses. These are overarching language genre families that WIDA has identified by sifting through children's literature, informational texts, curricula, and national standards to identify the 4 overarching key language uses of narrate, inform, explain, and argue. Then we move down to a more granular level, and these are language expectations or language goals that are typically delineated much the same as content area standards that teachers are accustomed to seeing. And we'll talk about that nomenclature development in just a minute. And then finally, within the framework, WIDA has developed what is known as proficiency level descriptors. These are matrices that describe language not embedded in content, but embedded in the 3 dimensions of language: discourse level, sentence level, and word level. And these matrices describe possible trajectories of language across the 6 proficiency levels and within the 3 dimensions of language. So let's take a look at a language expectation and let's talk about how language expectations are built. And so you're always going to start with the nomenclature ELD. You'll see here on the left-hand side of the slide, and then you'll have a dash, and then you will select one of the 5 standards, either social and instructional language, language arts, math, science, or social studies. Then you would place a dot. Then you would select a grade band. WIDA has delineated grade bands for their standards as well as the Access Language Proficiency Assessment. As you can see, there's kindergarten, grade 1, grades 2 through 3, grades 4 through 5, 6 through 8, or 9 through 12. Then next, you're going to select a key language use. As we have explained, the language overarching genre families of narrate, inform, explain, or argue. Then you place a dot, and then you choose the mode of communication, either interpretive or expressive. And so I'm going to click into my slide and we're going to build a language expectation. And so I'm going to type ELD with a dash, and I'm going to select the content area of science. So I'm going to type SC. I'll place a dot next. I'm going to select my grade band and I'm going to choose first grade. So I'm going to type a 1. And then I'll place a dot, and next I'm going to choose a key language use. I'm going to select inform, and then I'm going to choose a mode of communication, and I'm going to select expressive. And so we have just built a language expectation for English language development for first graders in the content area of science. They'll be addressing the key language use of inform in their lesson, and their mode of communication is expressive. And so next, I'd like to share with you all about the proficiency level descriptors. We are looking at an example of proficiency level descriptors for grades 2 through 3. You'll see in the leftmost column, this is where we see the levels of language, and we see just a snippet of discourse, and we see organization of language, and we also see cohesion of language. And then across the topmost row, you'll see the 6 levels of language proficiency, and each cell describes a possible trajectory of language development for a student in grade band 2 through 3. And so that is the organization of the proficiency level descriptors. And that concludes our explanation of the framework and organization of our North Carolina ELD standard course of study as an overview.